there was once upon a time, there was trust and love and connection and a future. So yeah, it's just crazy how much it just went.
You could almost hear the collective gasp ripple across Sister Wives fandom when headlines started popping up. Kody and Robyn's marriage on the brink. It was the kind of tabloid bait designed to stop you mid-scroll. Big letters, dramatic wording, just enough vagueness to make you wonder if TLC had finally decided to turn its most protected couple into the next sacrificial lambs. And then, within hours, Reddit lit up like a Christmas tree. Screenshots of the headlines flew around, fans tagging each other in disbelief, while others immediately rolled their eyes and called it for what they thought it was.
I wish I wouldn't have ever married her.
Another round of TLC's carefully crafted smoke and mirrors. Because let's be honest, the idea of Kody and Robyn splitting up is about as believable as Kody suddenly donating all of Coyote Pass to charity. Sure, they've had their tense on-camera moments, the stiff body language, the awkward silences, Robyn's teary "I don't know what's happening anymore" face, but to seasoned Sister Wives watchers, it all smelled like reheated leftovers from a storyline they've served us before.
I'm having a hard time feeling like losing respect for you.
Robyn, I can't even get it straight with you right now.
And yet, there's something about the timing of this particular rumor that makes it harder to dismiss entirely. Fans pointed out how odd it was for this narrative to surface now, right in the lull between major story arcs. Normally, TLC saves the marriage in crisis card for the peak of the season, that moment where everyone's watching and the stakes feel sky high. But here it was, dropped almost casually into the off-season buzz cycle, making some people suspect this might not be a coincidence at all. Was it a desperate bid to keep viewers talking until new episodes drop? A calculated move to soften Kody and Robyn's image before a particularly ugly plotline airs? Or, and this is the question keeping Reddit threads alive at 2 a.m., is there a chance that this time the smoke actually leads to fire?
The last couple of years changed the last, 30 years.
Either way, it's working. The fan base is hooked, arguing over whether this is the beginning of the end for the show's last legally married couple, or just another expertly staged cliffhanger. And if there's one thing Sister Wives has taught us, it's that what you think you're seeing is rarely the whole story. The first thing hardcore fans noticed and couldn't stop talking about was the timing. The Sister Wives rumor mill doesn't usually run at full speed in the middle of the off-season. Sure, you get the occasional clickbait article dredging up years-old drama, but explosive, relationship-shattering claims? Those are almost always reserved for strategic windows. TLC knows the formula. You plant the seed of trouble mid-season, let it grow into full-blown speculation by the finale, and then dangle the cliffhanger until the reunion episode drops. But this Kody and Robyn in trouble narrative, it landed smack in the middle of a production lull, and that alone is making fans suspicious. Why now? That's the million-dollar question Reddit has been dissecting like it's a true crime case. Some believe it's nothing more than a clickbait stunt from gossip outlets starved for content in the absence of new episodes. Others think it's a deliberate leak from inside the production team, a way to test the waters and gauge how audiences might react to seeing cracks in the so-called perfect marriage. And then there's the more conspiratorial camp, which believes the timing was orchestrated not by TLC, but by the Browns themselves. According to this theory, the Trouble in Paradise headline serves as a distraction, diverting attention from a completely different scandal brewing in the background. If you've been following the Sister Wives universe closely, you know the Browns have been in hot water over finances, property disputes, and those endless questions about who's actually paying for what. Reddit threads have been busy with chatter about Coyote Pass taxes, suspicious spending habits, and behind-the-scenes resentment among the ex-wives. It's not hard to imagine Kody and Robyn, or even TLC execs, thinking a juicy marriage trouble rumor might shift the narrative and keep the public focused on something more palatable than a potential financial mess. After all, feuding spouses make for great TV. Accusations about mismanaged money? Not so much. And then there's the emotional calculus. For years, Robyn has been framed as Kody's favorite, the real wife, the one he legally married, the one he seemed willing to burn bridges over. Every episode that shows them together plays like a stark contrast to his icy, awkward interactions with the other wives. Introducing even the possibility that their bond might be fracturing changes the entire dynamic of how viewers see Kody. If the fanbase starts to believe that Kody's one true love isn't as unshakable as he's made it seem, that's a PR shift with serious consequences. But here's the kicker. This isn't the first time we've seen Kody and Robyn in trouble floated as a storyline. There have been past seasons where the couple's on-camera spats were exaggerated in trailers, only for the season to reveal, well, nothing of real significance. They bickered, maybe shed a tear or two, then returned to presenting a united front. This repetition makes fans wary. They've been burned before by manufactured drama, and they're not afraid to call it out. That's why this moment feels different. The timing doesn't match TLC's usual playbook. The fan skepticism is already baked in, and the rumor hasn't been paired with any concrete promotional material for a new season. That combination makes it harder to pin down the motive. Is it lazy tabloid filler, a purposeful distraction, or the first tremor before a real earthquake? Right now, the only thing anyone knows for sure is that the Sister Wives fandom thrives on uncertainty, and this rumor just handed them a goldmine. When this Kody and Robyn on the brink of divorce headline first started making the rounds, you could almost hear the collective eye roll from longtime Sister Wives fans. Sure, the words sound dramatic enough for a reality TV cliffhanger, but if you've been following the Browns closely, especially in off-screen timelines, you know this kind of gossip doesn't just appear out of thin air. In fact, many Reddit sleuths think the source isn't a genuine leak at all, but a carefully placed seed by the show's own publicity team. And when you start looking at the timing, the wording, and the complete lack of real-world confirmation, the pieces fit together a little too neatly. The first red flag? This marriage crisis talk hit the internet right as TLC dropped the new season trailer. And guess what was in that trailer? A single line from Kody, half muttered, half dramatic, that could be chopped out of context and turned into a tabloid goldmine. It's the oldest trick in reality TV promotion. Take a moment that might be about anything, strip it of context, then feed it to the gossip cycle, knowing it'll light up comment sections and keep the fanbase buzzing. But here's the thing, Reddit wasn't buying it. Within hours, fans were calling it exactly what they thought it was, a lazy PR stunt. One user even joked, "Yeah, and next week we'll hear Christine's marrying a billionaire and moving to Mars." The skepticism wasn't subtle. People have watched this machine churn for years. They know when drama is organic and when it's been Frankenstein together in an editing booth. Another point that made fans suspicious, the real-life timeline. Sister Wives has a notorious lag between filming and airing. We're not talking a couple of months, we're talking years in some cases. By the time we see Kody looking miserable in a preview, that moment could be a fossil from 2 Christmases ago. If Kody and Robyn were actually splitting in real life, there would have been at least a whiff of it in public appearances, local gossip, or the kind of neighbor saw the moving truck stories that always surface when big changes happen. But there's been nothing. No separate living rumors, no legal filings, not even a credible sighting of them apart for more than a few hours. And if we're being blunt, the idea that Kody would ever willingly give up his golden goose, Robyn's loyalty, and their cushy combined finances doesn't pass the sniff test. Since the family fractures with Christine, Janelle, and Mary, Robyn's been the one person still firmly in Kody's corner, enabling his ego and validating his narrative. Walking away from that would mean walking into the cold reality of his own PR collapse, and Kody's never shown the stomach for that kind of self-inflicted wound. Fans on Reddit even pointed out that in the rare candid moments we have seen them lately, fan selfies at restaurants, random public sightings, they look just as attached as ever. Robyn still has the look at my man face, and Kody still peacocking with his arm around her like he's got something to prove. Hardly the body language of a marriage about to implode. So if this on the brink narrative isn't coming from actual cracks in their relationship, where is it coming from? The leading theory is that it's TLC's way of shaking the jar to get the ants moving. Every reality show thrives on having a big question to hang over the season, and with 3 wives already gone, the only dangling thread they've got left is, will Kody and Robyn survive? Stretch that out over 10 episodes, add a dash of misdirection, and suddenly you've got weeks of online debates and watch parties. But here's where it gets juicy. Because if this is just a PR stunt, then Kody and Robyn aren't just passive characters in it. They're willing participants, and that means they're not only managing the image they project on screen, they're actively manipulating what we believe about their real life. And if that's true, then it begs an even bigger question. What else have they been staging all along? Now here's where things take an even juicier turn. If you think Kody and Robyn are out here giving the cameras authentic marriage drama, Reddit says, think again. Fans are pointing out that this whole Kody and Robyn on the brink storyline smells exactly like the kind of recycled plot device the show has leaned on for years. You know, the kind that's just vague enough to be hyped in a trailer, but never quite delivers once you sit down to watch. And according to these posts, it's not just lazy writing, it's a calculated PR move. One top comment broke it down in plain language. They're not on the brink, they're the only 2 still standing. This is TLC trying to keep people guessing, so you'll tune in to watch them fight about something they probably already agreed on months ago. That's the heart of it. Kody and Robyn, the so-called power couple of what's left of the Brown Empire, are allegedly far too unified to be experiencing a genuine collapse. And that unity? Redditors think it's the exact reason they need to fake trouble, because a happily ever after doesn't keep ratings alive. Think about it. Every other marriage Kody's been in has crumbled on-screen in spectacular fashion. Christine pieced out, Janelle reached her breaking point, Mary got iced out long before the divorce papers were official. The only storyline left for Kody and Robyn is either we're stronger than ever or we're falling apart. Which one do you think TLC's editors are going to choose if they want maximum buzz? Here's the kicker. Several Reddit sleuths point to behind-the-scenes patterns that line up a little too neatly with this marriage trouble arc. For example, there's a history of TLC dropping ominous hints in preseason promos, only to have those moments turn out to be single-scene conflicts blown way out of proportion. Remember the Christine walks out tease that turned into an entire season of subtle sniping instead of the blow-up fans were promised? Same playbook here, and the theory gets even bolder. Some commenters claim this might not be TLC's idea alone. There's speculation, emphasis on speculation, that Kody and Robyn themselves may be feeding these on-the-rocks headlines to tabloids, knowing full well it will keep them in the media cycle and make them seem more interesting than they actually are in real life. After all, being the smug, unshakable golden couple isn't exactly a ratings magnet. But sprinkle in a dash of maybe they're doomed and suddenly you've got every Sister Wives fan and hater tuning in to see the supposed cracks. One fan summed it up best. They're not fighting, they're rehearsing. And whether that's literal or just metaphorical, it hits the point. The audience is catching on to the fact that in the world of reality TV, perception is the product. Kody and Robyn might be as solid as ever in their Flagstaff fortress, but if the public thinks they're dangling by a thread, that's TV gold. If you've been following Sister Wives long enough, you know the show's drama doesn't just live in the episodes, it bleeds into the headlines. And according to Reddit, that's no accident. There's a growing belief that TLC and the Browns, especially Kody and Robyn, have perfected a cycle. Plant a juicy story in the press, let fans debate it to death online, then conveniently deliver a watered-down version months later in the show. It's not just storytelling, it's story seeding. Fans point to the timing as their biggest clue. One user broke it down like a crime board. First, you get a mysterious leak to a mid-tier tabloid, something just plausible enough to get picked up by bigger outlets. Then, within days, TLC drops a cryptic teaser or a never-before-seen clip that fits the tone of that leak. By the time the actual episode airs, fans have already been primed to watch with a specific narrative in mind. Take this current Kody and Robyn marriage trouble arc. Multiple Reddit threads noticed that whispers about their supposed arguments hit the gossip sites weeks before TLC's season trailer was released. The details in those leaks, practically word-for-word echoes of the talking points in the promo. And here's where it gets suspicious. The alleged sources in those articles never seem to be named, just a vague insider close to the family. Sound familiar? Another fan chimed in with a theory that had the entire thread buzzing. It's a feedback loop. They leak to the press stirs up chatter, TLC uses that chatter to justify featuring the storyline, and then the storyline keeps the press interested. Everyone wins, except the viewers who realize they've been played. It's a cynical take, but not an unrealistic one in the world of reality television, where controlling the narrative is half the game. And let's not forget how leaks like these benefit the Browns themselves. Even if Kody and Robyn are as blissfully bonded as they claim, they've been in this business long enough to know that boring doesn't sell. A steady, happy marriage? That's not going to trend on Reddit or Twitter, but hint at a little discord. Make it look like Robyn's finally fed up, or Kody's struggling, and suddenly their names are back in circulation. That buzz can translate into more negotiating power with the network, more media appearances, and maybe even more special episodes. The Reddit detectives even went so far as to match up this cycle with past seasons, finding a suspiciously high correlation between headline-grabbing scoops and the beats of the show. The infamous Kody loses it over the property storyline leaked in outline form to the press before it aired. The Robyn can't stop crying over Christine's departure narrative. Same deal. Each time, the leaks create a sense of urgency. Watch now or miss the drama. And each time, the payoff is more of a slow burn than the explosive confrontation promised. For fans who've been burned before, it's starting to look less like coincidence and more like clockwork. For the most hard-bitten Reddit sleuths, this isn't just about clever marketing. They're convinced it's about control, specifically Kody's control over what doesn't get aired. Multiple posts suggest that the so-called tension between Kody and Robyn is nothing more than a decoy, a shiny object to distract fans from the more damaging or unflattering storylines involving his ex-wives. One particularly upvoted comment didn't pull any punches. Every minute they spend showing Kody sighing at Robyn's tears is a minute they don't have to show Janelle's real financial situation or Christine's side of the divorce paperwork. The theory is simple. By exaggerating problems in his favorite marriage, Kody not only keeps Robyn in the spotlight, but also keeps the cameras and the audience firmly trained on their end of the story. That means less oxygen for narratives where he comes off as negligent, petty, or outright in the wrong. Another Redditor went deeper, calling it a classic PR misdirection tactic. They wrote, "You give the press something messy but safe, like Robyn being annoyed that Kody didn't clean up the garage, and they'll run with it. Meanwhile, you bury the actual bombshells, like whether he's paying back child support or what's happening with the property lawsuits. In other words, feed the media enough drama to keep them talking, but make sure it's drama you can control. And if this feels familiar, that's because fans say Kody's been doing it for years. Remember when the family plotland argument ate up half a season? Conveniently, it played out at the same time. Rumors swirled about mounting credit card debt and unpaid bills, topics that barely made it into the episodes. Now, with Christine and Janelle increasingly open in interviews about what life after Kody really looks like, Reddit believes the man is running interference. The part that has fans rolling their eyes hardest is that the Trouble in Paradise act isn't exactly convincing. Posts point out how quickly Kody and Robyn's supposed disagreements fizzle out on camera. There's rarely a resolution because there's rarely an actual fight, just a vague, tension-filled scene that leaves the door open for endless speculation. One user summed it up perfectly. If they were really on the rocks, TLC wouldn't be teasing it like a Hallmark movie trailer. They'd be milking it with tearful confessionals and dramatic sit-downs. This suspicion has only intensified as some fans notice a pattern in Robyn's own interviews. When the spotlight veers too far toward Christine's or Janelle's grievances, Robyn seems to accidentally drop a new headline-friendly nugget about her marriage. Whether it's an offhand comment about struggles or a teary "I don't know if we can survive this," it gives the media just enough to pivot coverage back in their direction. For viewers who've been tracking these patterns for years, the idea that Kody is playing the audience like a fiddle isn't far-fetched. It's just the latest evolution of a long-running game. If the Reddit crowd is right, the Trouble in Paradise storylines aren't just about ego control, they're about money control. And for the more cynical fans, it's not a coincidence that these relationship theatrics tend to peak right when real-life financial drama threatens to bubble to the surface. One widely shared theory threads the needle between the TLC editing room and Kody's alleged off-camera priorities. As one commenter put it bluntly, Kody knows you can't get people talking about PayPal transfers if they're busy debating whether he slept on the couch. It's a distraction economy. Swap out hard, uncomfortable questions about bank accounts, child support back pay, or property disputes for a storyline that's emotional enough to trend, but harmless enough to never hit the legal radar. Several users have mapped out timelines to back up this claim. They point out that the recent Kody snaps at Robyn scenes began surfacing in the very same production window, when online chatter about a series of questionable PayPal transfers allegedly linked to Robyn's household started gaining traction in fan groups. The theory? TLC may not be actively covering for Kody, but by leaning into a personal life subplot that eats up airtime, the show avoids dedicating episodes to the more serious allegations swirling around the family finances. The dollar figures aren't small either. Some Reddit threads cite claims, unverified but passionately discussed, that as much as $500,000 in unexplained transactions have been spotted moving between accounts allegedly tied to family members. Whether or not those numbers hold water, the mere existence of that kind of speculation is enough to make it a headache for Kody. And in the court of public opinion, a fake fight with Robyn is infinitely easier to win than a messy, paper trail-heavy money story. Fans also suspect these diversions are carefully timed around contractual obligations. A few posters theorize that whenever Kody is heading into a negotiation, whether with TLC, creditors, or even in legal matters, the show suddenly amps up the domestic drama factor. One Redditor framed it as a business tactic. If Kody can keep the narrative on Robyn's tears and his fake "I don't know if we'll make it" face, then that's what people are Googling. Not his lawsuit history, not his debts, not his back taxes. This narrative control allegedly extends to social media as well. Viewers have noticed that Robyn often becomes more visible online during these so-called tension arcs, posting cryptic quotes about marriage or vague updates about family struggles. The speculation is that these posts aren't organic. They're part of a coordinated effort to dominate the conversation. If fans are busy screenshotting and dissecting her Instagram captions, they're not deep diving into PayPal records or tracking property liens. And for the most hardened Kody critics, the financial motive is the most obvious of all. Money drama can have real consequences: lost deals, damaged credit, legal trouble. A spat over how long it took to build a shed? That's just good television. It's the difference between a scandal that can end up in court and one that just boosts ratings. In this light, the fake tension isn't just a sideshow, it's a shield, one that protects not just Kody's public image, but potentially his bottom line. And if fans are right, every awkward kitchen argument we see on screen might just be another brick in that wall. If you've been watching the recent seasons of Sister Wives, you've probably noticed the subtle shift in how Kody and Robyn's relationship is portrayed. Instead of simply showing them as the legally married couple they've been since 2014, the editing and interview segments have leaned hard into something more, almost saintly. Robyn isn't just the wife who stayed, she's the woman who's sacrificing her own happiness to stand by Kody through his darkest days. It's a narrative that paints her as long-suffering, patient, and somehow still misunderstood, and one that conveniently invites viewers to feel sorry for her. her. But here's the problem. Reddit sleuths have been picking apart this angle, and the general consensus is that the Robyn's a martyr storyline might be less about reality and more about salvaging public sympathy. Some speculate this is all a calculated move to soften her image after years of being labeled as the wedge that drove the Brown family apart. If you remember the earlier seasons, Robyn's arrival was framed as a breath of fresh air for Kody, but it also coincided with a slow erosion of his relationships with his other wives. By now, most viewers have made up their minds about her, and it's not in her favor. So what do you do when half your fan base thinks you're the villain? If you're a TLC producer, or a couple with a vested interest in staying on the show, you spin the script. You let Robyn cry on camera about how hard it is to be the only wife left. You let Kody look worn down and say things like we're barely holding on. And suddenly, what was once a love story that overshadowed all the other wives becomes a tragic tale of survival under constant attack. It's PR Psychology 101. If people can't love you, at least make them pity you. The interesting part? Multiple Reddit users point out that in real life, nothing indicates this so-called marital breakdown is actually happening. No signs of separation, no different living arrangements, no actual reports of Robyn being done with Kody. Instead, the vibe is that they're still as tight as ever, living together, raising their kids, and running their household like always. One commenter even joked, they'd never split. That would mean Robyn loses her golden ticket. But here's where the speculation gets spicier. Some think the "we're struggling" narrative is also a clever distraction from other behind-the-scenes money questions. While everyone's busy wondering if Kody and Robyn will make it, fewer people are asking about the legal filings, the family property situation, or the fact that TLC renewals hinge on keeping drama alive. If you can frame your relationship as fragile, you can sell an entire season of will they or won't they, without actually changing anything at home. And the biggest tell? Every time the supposed cracks in their marriage hit the tabloids, they appear to come from one-off sound bites and trailers or vague insider quotes that magically surface right before new episodes drop. The drama appears on cue, like clockwork. If you've ever wondered how Kody and Robyn managed to keep their side of the story front and center, even when fan backlash is at an all-time high, the answer lies in what some Redditors call the Robyn PR engine. It's not an official term, but it might as well be. Over the last few seasons, sharp-eyed fans have noticed a pattern. The headlines, the leaks, even the way certain topics trend online, all seem suspiciously well-timed to serve one purpose: controlling the narrative before it controls them. Here's how it allegedly works, according to the armchair detectives of the fandom. Step 1. You let just enough controversy spill to get people talking. Not enough to ruin your image completely, but enough to dominate discussion threads, Facebook groups, and podcast recaps. Step 2. You drop your side of the story in carefully controlled bursts, whether that's through Robyn's tearful couch confessionals or Kody's "nobody understands me" monologues. Step 3. You pivot the conversation towards something more relatable, like struggles with the kids or fears about the family's future, so the audience feels like they're getting personal, vulnerable moments. And if that sounds like a coincidence, the timestamps tell a different story. Fans have charted it out. The sudden flare-ups in online chatter almost always line up with TLC teaser releases, People magazine exclusives, or Robyn's big emotional scenes. One week, the spotlight's on Kody's blow-up with Janelle. The next, it's Robyn on camera, saying she never wanted this life, as if she's the accidental bystander to all the chaos. The whiplash is real, but it's also effective. It makes them both seem like the misunderstood center of a storm they didn't create. The speculation gets even juicier when you consider the role of what fans call friendly media outlets. Certain magazines and blogs get early access to quotes and photos, while others seem to mysteriously run glowing Robyn, the devoted mom pieces, right when public opinion takes a dip. Critics think these are less organic journalism and more prearranged PR deals, the kind where you trade a good headline for continued access. It's not exactly new in reality TV, but when you're working with a fan base as deeply invested and as suspicious as Sister Wives viewers, the playbook becomes easier to spot. And let's not forget the social media footprint. Robyn's absence from platforms is almost part of the brand now. It gives her plausible deniability. If something ugly trends, she can claim she's not online, while still enjoying the benefits of her story spreading through every major recap channel. Kody, meanwhile, leans into the martyr role himself, dropping occasional interviews that sound less like apologies and more like personal manifestos. For the fans who've been watching this dynamic play out for over a decade, it's frustrating, but it's also predictable. Every season, the PR machine cranks up at exactly the right time, and while some viewers may be swayed by the "woe is us" storyline, the rest are rolling their eyes, armed with screenshots and a running list of receipts. The PR machine isn't just about managing headlines, it's about protecting the flow of money. And with Kody and Robyn, the financial trail tells as much of a story as the cameras ever could. Fans who've kept tabs on public property records and business filings have pointed out that while the family splintered, Kody and Robyn's lifestyle didn't exactly shrink to match. Their big Flagstaff house, the renovations, the constant stream of decor changes, it all costs money. But here's the thing, the show's ratings haven't been what they once were, and the rest of the family has openly talked about tighter budgets. So where's the cash coming from? That's where speculation takes a darker turn. Some fans think the PR push isn't just about image, it's about keeping their storyline valuable enough for TLC to keep them front and center, even at the expense of the other wives' narratives. The theory goes that if Robyn and Kody can position themselves as the central conflict, they can justify higher screen time, more control over editing, and most importantly, a bigger cut of the production money. In a show that thrives on interpersonal drama, being the villain can actually be a profitable move. And then there's the mystery of the family's communal finances. Over the years, the pool of income from book sales, appearances, and the show itself has been a constant point of tension. Christine and Janelle have both hinted that money wasn't always distributed equally, and Mary has danced around the subject in interviews. If Robyn's household is pulling more from that pot while the others are left to fend for themselves, it would explain why the PR machine works so hard to make her look like the wronged party. After all, the less sympathy you get from the audience, the more heat there is to answer for where the money's going. Even the business ventures raise questions. My Sister Wife's Closet, the family's long-defunct jewelry line, was initially pitched as a group effort, but as the years passed, it became clear Robyn held more control than anyone else. The site eventually shut down, but fans have speculated about whether its profits or losses were ever fully accounted for. Then there's the new wave of online rumors about Robyn's private spending, from high-end handbags to an alleged doll room costing tens of thousands, all supposedly justified under the umbrella of family needs. What ties all this back to the PR game is timing. Big money rumors always seem to pop up during filming lulls, right before a new season drops. And sure enough, those same rumors get countered by sympathetic storylines for Kody and Robyn, scenes designed to remind viewers of their struggles, whether financial, emotional, or both. It's a distraction tactic as old as reality TV itself. Keep the audience emotionally hooked, and they won't notice where the dollars are flowing. At the end of the day, following the money in the Brown family doesn't just lead you to bank accounts or property deeds, it leads you right back to the carefully crafted image Kody and Robyn fight to protect. And for fans, that's exactly why they're not buying the "we're barely getting by" act anymore. If Kody and Robyn thought they could control the narrative forever, they underestimated one thing: the Sister Wives fandom is relentless. This isn't your casual watch the episode and move on crowd. This is a legion of digital sleuths with time, receipts, and zero patience for spin. And lately, their online investigations have been cutting through the PR polish like a hot knife through butter. On Reddit, Facebook groups, and TikTok deep dives, fans have been cross-referencing property records, comparing old interviews to new ones, and even matching the interiors of background shots to Zillow listings. One fan managed to track down the exact store where Robyn's old decor, shown being replaced on the show as if it were a budget-friendly refresh, was actually high-end designer furniture costing thousands. Another spotted a piece of artwork in the background of an Instagram Live that matched a gallery item worth nearly 5 figures. The real turning point came when a group of fans pieced together a timeline of Kody's travel patterns. By comparing social media check-ins, background scenery, and fan selfies, and known filming dates, they suggested he was spending far more time at Robyn's than at any other household, despite the PR-friendly claims of rotating equally between homes. That timeline didn't just contradict the show, it made Kody look like he was deliberately misleading viewers. And once that snowball started rolling, it didn't stop. The Kody and Robyn only theory gained traction, the idea that the entire family structure collapsed years ago, but the couple, with TLC's blessing, has been pretending the plural marriage is still a work in progress to keep the format intact. It's a theory bolstered by eagle-eyed fans, who notice the other wives' scenes feel isolated, often filmed without Kody in the same location at all. What's worse for Kody and Robyn is that the more they try to counter these narratives, the more ammunition fans seem to get. When Robyn tearfully insisted on the show that she never wanted the other wives to leave, viewers immediately began splicing that scene with old footage where her body language or choice of words told a different story. On TikTok, those edits rack up hundreds of thousands of views, making her denials look like part of the performance. Then there's the financial angle, which fan investigators treat like a cold case file. Public records have been dug up, showing property title transfers, loan refinances, and unexplained debt payoffs. Fans have mapped out these transactions on interactive timelines, some going back over a decade. Each one raises the same question: if money is tight, why do Kody and Robyn keep making moves that only a couple with significant resources could pull off? In the end, this is the double-edged sword of reality TV fame in the internet age. every carefully staged scene is now instantly picked apart frame by frame, and every heartfelt speech can be fact-checked against a decade's worth of footage. Kody and Robyn may have once held the upper hand in telling their version of events, but the fan-led investigations are shifting the balance, and for the first time, their narrative isn't the only one getting airtime. For all the noise, denials, and behind-the-scenes scrambling, one thing is becoming crystal clear. This is not the end of the Kody and Robyn saga. If anything, we're standing at the edge of an even bigger eruption. Because when the family's dirty laundry is already tumbling out into the street, it doesn't take much to trigger the next avalanche. And with fan sleuths digging, ex-wives speaking more freely, and the cracks in the PR facade widening, the pressure is building by the day. Christine's public confidence, Janelle's unflinching truth-telling, and Mary's slow but steady reemergence as her own person have fundamentally shifted the balance of power. The wives Kody once counted on to hold the family structure together now have their own platforms, their own audiences, and most dangerously for him, their own receipts. Every time one of them drops a pointed comment or shares a story that doesn't align with his narrative, it chips away at the image he's fought to maintain. Robyn, meanwhile, finds herself in an uncomfortable spotlight. The more she clings to her misunderstood victim role, the less believable it becomes, especially as social media users surface contradictions in her statements and moments on camera that don't match her words. Whether she realizes it or not, the optics of luxury spending, exclusive access to Kody, and selective empathy for the other wives are painting her as the architect of the current family dynamic, whether she's truly pulling the strings or not. And then there's Kody himself, who seems to be oscillating between defiance and desperation. In one moment, he's barking about respect and loyalty. In the next, he's trying to present himself as a wounded husband who's been abandoned by those he loved. But the public's patience for his contradictions is wearing thin, and the more he tries to control the conversation, the more obvious it becomes that it's slipping out of his hands. The wild card, TLC. The network has a vested interest in keeping the drama alive, but if the truth being uncovered by fans and former wives starts to overshadow the carefully curated storylines, they'll have to decide whether to lean into reality or keep pretending everything is business as usual. Either path carries risk, and either one could explode spectacularly in the next season. For now, the Brown family finds itself in an uneasy standoff, but with each passing week, the ground beneath them shifts a little more, and the smallest spark could ignite the next full-scale meltdown. Whether it comes from a leaked court document, an offhand remark in an interview, or a fan discovery that makes national headlines, one thing feels inevitable. We haven't seen the last or the worst of this story. And when that next blow lands, you can bet the world will be watching. So what do you think? Is this all just a string of unfortunate misunderstandings? Or are we watching the final unraveling of a family empire in real time? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for the next video. You won't want to miss what happens next.